Ah, good morning. I'll wait for a few people to get in here before we get started today. It's a little bit on the chilly side this morning. Hi, Jesse. Good morning and welcome in. I'm waiting for a few more people to get in here just to before I kind of do a little preamble to this broadcast today. So welcome in. Yeah, you're the first one in today. Jesse, where are you from? Or where you live? Indiana. Cool. It's are you getting snow? I know my friends in Ohio and other places were getting some snow. Um, is it snowing where you're at? Ah, see, we're starting to get a couple of people in here. Later today, yeah. Okay. Well, but hey, number one team in the country, college football. Congratulations on that. Um, okay, so I see we're starting to get a few people in here, so I'm going to explain why I'm actually on camera here first today. As soon as we get a few more people in, I just wanted to explain what's going on. We have a little different a little change to our normal program here today. We are still going to turn. We are going to be turning. That's true, but I did want to kind of explain why the setup's a little different and why you're going to see me doing things a little bit differently today. So um, there's 11 people in here now. So when we get to like 20, 25 people, I'll start mentioning. In the meantime, if you would please hit the like button, I'd yeah, yeah. It's been a long time coming out, India. Although last year you guys made a run. And this year you got and considering Michigan's going to have a new coach next year now, apparently, you might even have a good chance next year too. But we'll see what happens there. Uh, anyway, so for the rest of you here, I see we got 20 or so people in here now. So the reason I'm doing this today is because I'm standing on a little bit of a platform. I injured my shoulder the other day, my left shoulder, and it's a little bit hard for me to put it up here to hold it on the tool. So we're going to try this. I considered canceling the whole thing, but I didn't want to do that to you guys because I know you like me doing my turnings every week. So I gave it a little test run, and I decided to raise my platform about an inch and a half here to stand on, and that made it a little bit easier on my shoulder. So I'm not raising my shoulder up in order to hold things. So we're going to give this a try. And hopefully we can get through it together. So I just want to let you know that up front that it's going to be a little bit different than usual today. Um, and so I decided instead of taking on the olive one, I'm going to do on this. I'm going to show you here. I'm going to take on this beast here. This is a piece of Modesto ash. Oops, let me kind of tighten that screw a little bit. There we go. This is Modesto ash, and it's got a lot of grain. It's a beautiful piece of wood. But we're going to try and turn this and see if we can't get through it. And with your help, we'll do that. So your help and encouragement. If you see me stop a couple times, I'm kind of dangling my arm to kind of make it feel a little better. It's what it is. It's an impingement of the tenon, and I can feel it all the way down to my thumb. So my thumb hurts and my shoulder hurts. I can't raise my shoulder much above about almost. I can get it almost to 90 degrees. Almost. That's not quite. So we're gonna try this out. Let me get my protection on here. For the moment, I think I'll just use the regular mask, and we'll see what happens here. Okay, and as you see, it's a little bit out of round. It's got kind of an angled base, so I got to take that out. And I've also got a flat spot here, so we're going to have to wedge this in. So we're going to make kind of a curved in bowl from the bottom, wider at the top, and okay, we'll see how this all goes. So stay tuned, right? I think I can get the speed up a little bit more here in just a minute. I just want to get this initial cut done first. Ash is a real hardwood, but it's also it's very grainy. So your end grain and all it doesn't turn off as smoothly as you'd like. So it's kind of like a little bit of problem on both ends of that. But I'll take down this oversized part just a little bit. Okay. I think I'm gonna move my rest over here so that I can get in here and flatten out this bottom just a little bit first. Take this off and go from there. Okay, so thank you all that are in here, and again, I do appreciate you coming on, and please hit that like button if you can, or double tap the screen. That helps the channel. I'm going to go ahead and take some of this off while I can here. Okay, now we can come in from this side. I need to put a little light on this. There we go. So it's really, see how far out of line that is? See this? So I spin it up a little bit. Ride the devil in. good way to dull your blade quickly, I tell you. We will be sharpening a few times with this, that's for sure. Okay, we're not quite there, but we're getting very close. Now I can move in a little bit and make a good cut across here. Here we go. Got to lower this rest just a little bit. And take a proper run at that center. There we are. Oh, I went too far down. That's always a problem. One of the advantages of working with just a couple tools is that you don't have to often change it because you know you have your kind of your rest set for the tools that you're using. But since I try and show a lot of different techniques, I tend to use a lot of different tools along the way so that you guys can kind of see what that looks like. Okay. Now we've got a relatively flat. I'll come back and flatten that a little bit more later, but I want to work on the shape now of the side here. Yeah, a little bit back there. Okay. And you see it's just a little bit out of round because it's just about touching here, and here it's, I can put my finger down in there. So there's about that much difference from one side to the other. Please, if you can, hit that like button or subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get up to 4,000 subscribers here. Everyone really helps. Every new subscriber helps a lot for that. We broke 3,800 the other day, and let's keep that thing going. You see here, if we ride this bevel, the bottom of this gouge, if you ride that bevel, keep that flat against the surface. Turn the cutting edge up just a little bit. There we go. Okay, so got most of that flat spot out of there. A little bit more in this one. We just got a little bit more ways to go. We'll be able to come that from underneath here, I think, and take most of that out. Then we'll get the shape going, and then we'll be able to let's see, by doing that undercut, I'm now uniform all the way around. Now we can kick up the speed just a little bit more. smooth cut. And you can see that's a pretty smooth surface just from that. It's not a shear cut or anything, but just writing that bevel took a lot of that flat out there and made a real good cut. Excuse me. I think I'm going to have to use my my dust mask here for this part, if you don't mind. And we'll see how long my battery lasts on this. The last couple times I've been trying my trend mask, it's not been lasting very long, but we'll see how long it lasts. Hope you can hear me clearly, and we'll now we do have a crack right here and a couple cracks right here that we're going to have to deal with at some point. But I wanted to see if we could undercut a lot of that, because if it mostly goes away, it doesn't go all the way through. That's a good thing, right? If it goes all the way through, we're going to have to deal with it. You can see how efficient that cut is. Oh, and that's a lot smoother cut that time. Now we just need to get into the shaping out the outside of that, and for that we'll use my my bullnose scraper, I think. And we can kind of get some look to this. Get it smooth out just a little bit. Boy, it just slides up the top here. That's pretty smooth right there. Just a little bit. And as always, what I say is I'm watching the top here. I'm not looking down here where I'm running the tool. I'm looking up here to see what the profile is as I'm going by. So I can see when there's a little rise, like there's a tiny bit of rise right here. I can see that by looking over the top of it. So as I come around with this tool, I can make it rest there a little bit longer in the high spots. And you see just a little bit more dirt and more wood product coming up. Scrape right there, and a little bit less here. Let's kind of make that more sloping. I want to kind of get the sloping in a little bit more. Well, it's good to have your tool rest go out beyond where you're working so you can come around the corner here and still have the support and still keep your hand behind the tool rest, because you want your fingers always around this side of the guard, not over here. That's where you get pinched, and that's where you get hurt. You can keep your hand over here, you're in good shape. And, excuse me. Excuse me. Oh, I had to sneeze. Please comment in the comment section, guys. Need some more people writing in there. There's only a few comments going so far. Hi, Robert. How you doing? So far, I see Jesse and Robert are the only two people talking. There's like 120 people on here, so please write in the comment section. Get a conversation going. I'd like to know where all of you guys are watching from. Any of you from in the European theater or Asia? Or I'm sure we're all over the U.S. too. Some of you might even be at your work desk. I know some people put me on in the background as background sound while they're working. Hi, Kathy. Good to see you. Whar? I'll take that as hello. But how you doing? Okay, so we've kind of flattened the bottom a little bit. We've kind of gotten this rounded and squared. We've got all the flat spots are gone now. We've got some sort of an angle to it. So let's go back to the bottom here and get this bottom now cleaned up. And you want to get this squared away and cleaned up and looking sharp. There we go. I want to be close. I don't want to be too close. I'm going to go ahead and keep using this bowl nose for just a second here. I think it's the smoothest tool to do this part right here. Kind of round out that bottom there. Scrapers are wonderful tools. I use my scrapers for a lot of my turning. That takes off almost as much as the gouge. This is an aggressive grind. You can see it's got a pretty sharp angle to it compared to a lot of my other ones. Most scrapers are at a 9 degree. This one's at a more of a 35 degree, 34 degree angle. It's an aggressive tool, and I use that for just this sort of thing where I need a little control because it's got some missing wood in there, and we want to smooth this out. Yeah, see now look at that. Now that's looking really nice. It's flat. I just did that with the. I didn't even need to use a skew. And got this pretty flat. So now we start to look at this and see what do we do for design wise. Well, I've got this crack and I don't know how deep it is. I got 3 cracks actually coming through here, and I don't know how deep it is. And it's a weird crack because it has nothing to do with the pith or anything else. I'm not sure where this crack. It's not a stress crack. I'm not sure what it is. But well, it is a stress crack of sorts, but I mean it's not a normal stress crack like coming from a pith or something like that. So I'm kind of figuring what do I want to do with this. Hey, New Zealand, good to hear you from you. It must be pretty late in the evening by now, I would assume, in New Zealand. Um, unless you're kind of a night owl, stay up late. So far, the shoulder's holding up. It's not hurting me too much standing here doing this, so we're going to keep going. I could fish this out just a little bit. I'm just a little concerned that this may go deeper than I thought it would. So we'll see if I can put a little bit of design to this bowl, so it's not just a flat straight bowl. And let's see what we can do with it. Okay, so I'm gonna come in here. And work it out. So we're having a lot of friction. That's really hot. Am I getting really hot that quickly? That tells me that it's a very hard wood, creating a lot of friction. It actually burns your hand. Actually burns your hand here from that friction. Let's go back to the gouge for a minute. See if we can't gouge that out a little. Now let's see what that crack looks like. It has not changed. So I have to presume that this crack goes pretty far in. So based on that, I'll kind of make a design here. Okay. I'm going to give it a little character. It still has the cracks, but it looks like the cracks are kind of fading, so it may not be on the inside. What we're going to do, because those will be nice character lines, I'm not going to make them go away. But what I am going to do here, if I can get my glue going, it's been really cold in the shop. I'm going to put some glue into those cracks. Right like so. And here and here. Now that one's that's just a look. That's not even, I don't even know if that's a crack anymore. Just kind of a black mark right there. We'll see how that goes. Not to worry, because the glue's not going to show. I'm going to use an old trick that I've used on here before. You've seen me do it. I'm going to take some of this the finer curls, not the big curls, but the finer stuff. What that does is that kind of absorbs some of the glue. Okay. And we very lightly brush it away, but we brush it across. We don't brush it. Tap that on again. We don't brush like this with the scratch with the break. We want to go across those breaks, and it kind of makes them disappear just a little bit. Now it's not going to disappear altogether right now. Don't get me wrong, but it will somewhat disappear, and it also gets the glue in there a little bit to strengthen that up. So while that is settling for a couple minutes, it's sort of like making your own wood putty, is what it is. It's like making your own wood putty. The best way I can describe it. Okay. Now I'm going to let that set for a minute while I do the backside here. Oops. And just so you know, if you see me fall, it's because this platform I'm standing on, I took a misstep and forgot that it was here. So the platform is here to help me stay upright. Hopefully it will do that. I'm going to take a skew to this edge here right now and really refine that. And here left-handed. Okay. Just wanted to grace that just a little bit. Okay. We got this nice and sharp here. I'll make that a nice sharp edge. Okay. I'm going to go back to the bowl nose here now. Just make sure that I'm going to go very, 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 very lightly right now. A couple of spots down here. This is not where the crack is. I'm just trying to smooth this part out here a little bit. Okay. Now we're going to get over to where the crack is, and we're just going to go very lightly, barely touching the surface. Barely touching the surface. You see that? We're not really taking up much of anything. Okay. Now, it's still there, but there's glue in there, and it's been filled a little bit of fiber in the glue. So it looks really cool, but it's not necessarily a crack on the outside anymore. Okay. Now, next steps are going to be sanding this in just a minute. Okay. We want to get the tenon on the bottom here. By getting the tenon on the bottom, let's see who else we got in here. So Shed Guy, yeah, 7:30. Oh, 7:30 a.m. Friday. Oh, Friday morning already. Geez, I'm sorry. I wasn't thinking about that. It's about an 18-hour or so difference. So yeah, it is 10:30 in the morning here. So you're about 21 hours difference from us. So yeah. Hi, Carlo and Jock and Lenovo. Okay. And it's good to hear from all of you. And please, if you can, hit the like button, subscribe if you can, and that would help us a lot because that lets us expand the channel. So we are going to put a little tenon on here. Right? Yeah, a little tenon on here. Okay, just wanted to mark it. I'm going to raise this tool rest just a very tiny hair. Okay. A little bit. Okay. And that should be pretty close to what we need. I was just eyeballing it, but oh boy, am I like right on. I'm like, I was like almost exactly right this time. It's nice when you get that close every once in a while. Get that nice and clean across there. We don't need it to go any deeper than that's way more deep than I usually do actually. Okay. Got it there. Yep. Fits right in there. When I open the jaws up, it's going to hold on, expand onto that, and that's what's going to hold this whole piece of wood on while we turn it. So let me kind of make sure that we're nice and controlled along here. This is a really nice dry piece of wood, so it's not going to expand or something as it goes. It's going to be a aloha from Hawaii. Wow, great! We're getting all sorts of the Pacific region. It's I guess pretty early morning hours in Hawaii too at this point. So hi Cedar Point. By the way, Cedar Point doesn't sound Hawaiian necessarily. Does Cedar Point come from some other place, or is that just maybe you do have cedar there? I'm not sure. Okay, so this is starting to look pretty good. This is you didn't hear earlier. This is a piece of what they call Modesto ash. Okay, it comes pretty rough. It's a little bit like pine. It's a little harder than pine. It's harder than pine. Has a lot of the characteristics of pine. Has a little bit more movement to the wood. I'm going to try and get you in here just a little bit closer. You can see just what I was talking about with those cracks on the top, right there, that are now filled in. So what we're going to do, we're going to try sanding this. I'm going to have to put this this on. So forgive me for that sound. Okay, we'll get the sanding going. We'll be able to turn this thing around pretty soon. And actually, you'll see a bull start to appear. Get that out. Now, this is just initial here. I'm going to see how it's going to react to it. What I don't want is a lot of sanding scratches on here. So if there's light spots and dark spots or highlights, sometimes what happens is the wood has soft spots in it, and it won't cut through the wood really well. It kind of gets a little bit lumpy because you're getting hardwood in between the softwood. The softwood being sanded away, and the hardwood isn't. So you want to kind of be careful with. I know some guys just go ahead and spin the wood, but I don't think that always gives you a really good finish. And you'll see it once we put a little bit of a oil on here in a minute. You'll see where it kind of shows up any little blemishes you have to go back and fix. See right there's a little dip. And that dip didn't come from sanding necessarily. It just comes from the fact that as you're turning, you get these soft and hard spots. Sometimes the tool skips a little bit. Another one right here is a divot. No reason for it, it just is. So we have to kind of sand those out as best we can. Kind of a funky piece of wood here as far as little ribs and valleys in it. Got it undulates just a little bit. Yeah, I gotta try and get that out. I know watching somebody sand is not the most enjoyable thing. Hi Homer. Hi Big Sub. This is Big Sub. Uh, Welcome to the group. Please feel free to ask questions in the comment section. If you have any questions I can answer, be happy to do that. Otherwise, I'm just kind of standing here by myself. It gives me something to talk about. If you can kind of have a dialogue going on here, so please feel free to do that. I'm gonna put this in reverse, keep the speed up a little bit. Not going to use any. I'm not going to have the drill on. I'm just going to use the sandpaper for the moment. See how that did. Oops. And I always do this with my 80 grit or so because I'm wanting to fix it now before we get into the higher grits where we're trying to do mostly what we're doing with the higher grits is just kind of polishing the wood. This is where you can actually reshape the wood a little bit or fix little odd parts of the wood. So that's why I'm spending time with this right now. I want to keep the shape. Okay, I think that's enough with that one. We can go to the next. Oh man, I gotta stop doing that with my left arm. Okay, back to the right arm. Ugh, I tell you, losing one, not being able to use one arm, and not being able to lift your shoulder really inhibits your ability to chop a little bit. You know, you're so used to grabbing things with the other hand, and now that I can't use my left hand, I'm putting a lot more pressure on my right, and that gets a little bit tiring too. So, all right. Now I can already see a big difference just going to this next grit. I'm encountering some of that end grain. And end grain gets real chippy sometimes. Okay, one more grit, and then we will switch over to putting a finish on it and switch into and turning it around. So stick with me here. The bottom is beautiful. The bottom wood is always nice when you're doing this. I'm just trying to get all the little pieces, get them all nice and smoothed out. Yeah, that's feeling a lot nicer. Going through the different grits, and you don't have to go really high on a bowl. Anything over about 400 is probably not needed. I don't often go to 400. I usually stop at 240. If you've made good cuts, if you make good cuts with your tools and you have a good piece of wood, you should already be at almost 240 before you even put the sander to it, because you can get great fine cuts with your tools. Today I was not able to do that as much because of my shoulder problem. So I'm having to rely on the sander a little bit more than I normally would. That's okay. I'm not going to make an excuse for it. A good sportsman or anything doesn't blame the tools, right? You don't blame the tools or your arm. In this case, you learn to work with what you got. Okay, so I got that down. I think that's pretty good. Now turn this off. That's obnoxious sounding, and it does take it a while to turn down. I'm going to just vacuum out on the outside of this really quick just to pick up a little bit of the dust from it. Because it gets in the pores, and then when you put a finish on it, it makes the finish kind of muddy looking. So you want to kind of run the sander over your project, run the vacuum over it just to kind of clean it up. And at the same time, I can pick up a little bit of this here. We're going to find out on the inside how far those cracks go. That might be another adventure for us. One of the things we like on this channel, we like adventures. We do things. We don't do scary stuff. We don't intentionally do stuff that's going to fly off the machine or anything like that. We don't do anything that's unsafe. But by the same token, we like stuff that challenges us. And having a nice, pretty piece of maple with no uh, nothing in it or anything like that really doesn't interest me too much because it's kind of boring. Having something that has a little character to it, maybe a little bit of little cracks, branch endings that come in there, things like that, kind of interests me because it's a challenge. It's going to be, how am I going to deal with this? How am I going to work it? And what am I going to end up with at the end? So we're going to put this tung oil on here. It's pure tung oil with a few other little amenities that I add to it. It's to soak into the wood, and this is dry wood, so it should soak it in pretty well. Although it's also a very hard wood, so it's going to show me where the end grain is, because that's going to soak it in. The side grain's not going to soak it in much. And okay, I've gone all the way around now with it, and I'll tell you in about 30 seconds, you can see we'll start seeing dry spots in here. But you can start seeing the color that's coming out too. Put some of it on here. It's a little bit easier to apply. Now, a lot of people ask me, does this add color to the wood? It doesn't really. I mean, yes, it is an amber color, but it's basically dries clear for the most part. What you're seeing is what happens if you were to put water on this. It would have the same effect. Water, any kind of liquid you put on wood tends to darken it temporarily. And if it's soaking it in, it may darken it a little bit, but it's not going to drastically change the coloring of the wood. In any case, it kind of gives it a honey look to it a little bit. But there, I'm just going to let that set for a minute. It's a pretty piece of wood. Thank you, Jesse. Yeah, it's ash. It comes in a lot of ways. This is called Modesto ash because it's from this area of California, basically. But you can find ash all over the place. You can find it in most countries, I think, actually. Um, it's a general hardwood or semi hardwood. I do like this little pattern here that's in the wood, and it has some character to it. It really does. So let me see if I can bring you around so you can see what it looks like when we like that. Okay, add a little better look for you. Now you can see what we're doing. And it's already got some dry spots here from when I put that oil on. Oops, here's a little needle. There we go. And I just usually what you would do is you would give this like 3 or 4 coats. I'm just doing this one coat for these lives. I just do one coat. I go back and finish these up a little bit more after we're all done because I don't think you want to watch paint dry, basically. Um, you don't have a lot of people watching just to see paint dry. Okay. So, in fact, I see this viewership's kind of going up and down right now. So we're going to leave it at that for now. Okay. And we will, as soon as it dries off enough for me to touch it, we will set it down here and we will take the faceplate off. And then then we get a little sketchier because then we're holding it on with just this. Beetles got most of our ash. Oh, wow. So they like lost whole stands of ash trees, I guess is what you're saying. Um, yeah, I had beetles get into my plum tree this year, and I'm losing one of my fruitless plum trees, and it's about a 20+ foot tree. So I'll probably be turning some plum this next year because it's going to have to come out. And it's not really big, huge pieces, but it should be some pretty interesting wood. So look forward to that. I do have. This was the. I'll show you the other piece of wood that I was planning to do today, and I don't know if my shoulder is going to hang in there long enough to do it, but I think you'll see why I decided not to do that one today. And here it is. You can see here. This is olive, and it's pretty rugged piece of wood. It's going to be turning this like this, and it's got a lot of voids and so forth in it. I didn't know if my arm could stand the banging, so we'll see. I might turn this Friday or Saturday or something like that on another live because I got to give my arm a little bit of time to rest and relax here. But okay, so I'm going to pull out just a little bit. So let's see. I think it's pretty dry now. Okay. So we will try and break this off of here. I might have to use it's kind of hard when you're grabbing a bowl sometimes to because it's waxed. There we go. Just had to break that seal. When it's that just means it had a real good grip on the lathe, so I'm not too worried about that. And I think I'll take a little towel to this and kind of wipe this down just a bit. Again, this was not a finish coat. This was just something to help preserve the wood a little bit. It's going to get dirty. It's going to get dust on it and so forth. I just wanted to kind of preserve it a little bit, but it does feel pretty good. So that's encouraging. Now let me get my drill here. We can take this faceplate off, and there we go. And these are not long screws. These screws are only this long. They're like 1-inch screws, maybe 1.125 inches. I'm not sure. And this thing is about 3/8 of an inch or so deep. So it's not going into the wood very deep. But there's 8 of them. And as long as you're handling it properly, faceplates, I think, me personally, I like a faceplate rather than a chuck screw. Some people swear by chuck screws, but I turn a lot of green wood. This is not, but I turn a lot of green wood, and green wood, I don't think works as well sometimes. Depending on the wood strands, the way the wood is grown and stranded makes a big difference. For instance, I've got this piece here. I would not use a nut screw in this because I can't trust that wood. But if I'm putting a faceplate on it, I can trust the wood around it. So better chance I'm going to have some good hold. Okay, let's get the chuck on here. Here we go. And set this up. Yeah, I actually made that a little bit bigger than I needed to, I think. Okay, we're going to turn this up slowly. See how round it is. Yeah. I'm going to see if I can get that to fit just a little bit better. I mean, it's not wobbling much, but I want to make sure that it's... There we go. That's good. That's going to be just about perfectly. You never know, you might always get just a tiny bit of a wobble when you're mounting from the other side because from a number of things. You could have a slight bend in your armature of your lathe, for one thing. That's always something to think about, especially if you had a lot of heavy unsupported pieces of wood on there. It could take its toll over time. I'm going to turn that off. Okay, now, number of ways to go about this. Everyone has a preferred method. I don't have a preferred method. I just you seal with wax on. I will seal with a wax or something later. I'm sorry, Johnny. I did not see your question, but this is just oil that penetrates. Teak oil. I'm sorry. Tung oil penetrates and it gets down into the fibers, and after about a day or so, it actually dries and hardens those fibers. So if I'm doing this on my own and not doing a live, I would put that on there. I'd probably let this set for a day, and then I'd bring it back into the shop, turn it around, and do the other side. But because we're doing a live, I'm going to do both sides the same day. So I often have 3 or 4 bowls that are in various stages because of that purpose. But I like using the tung oil because it does strengthen the fibers. And on some woods, that's really important. Now, if it's green wood, I'll just go ahead and turn the whole darn thing and let it do its thing. If you saw the one we did last week, we did one where we've made it the bowl actually warp, and it's warping the way we wanted it. We've been using a microwave to dry it out, and it is now about almost 3/4 of an inch wider than it is one way than it is the other way. So it actually is starting to get that oval shape to it. It's a really nice bowl. I'll probably bring that back in another session or two and show you what happens after like 2 or 3 weeks or a month, and kind of follow that, because that was a technique that I try and do with some of my pieces that it really works out. Now, let's see. I think I'm a little bit low here. So I'm going to raise myself up here a bit. You can see I had this written down here, Modesto Ash from February. So I got this in February. It's now November, so it's had what 7, 8 months to no, yeah, 9 months almost to dry out. And this was not wet wood when I got it in the first place, so it's probably in pretty good shape. So I'm going to my last moment. Let's see what we can do with this. Okay, I'm gonna have to set my outside perimeter. I also need to flatten this out, but I need to set my outside perimeter. Probably start with it being right about here. I'm just kind of flattening out this first cut. I want to kind of flatten out the old backs off of there. Now, and I will be picking up the key here in a minute. I'm just kind of gauging how it's turning. Okay, I think I'm going to go ahead and sharpen my tool right now so that I can do that. And I'll show you over here. This is my sharpening area. Ignore the mess. Like I said, I had to move things around a bit, but I use the Varigauge, or Veriflex, whatever it's called, or one way Wolverine. Goes by a lot of different names. I use this block that has an exact 2 inches. It has a little penny inside there that stops it. And they're not making pennies anymore, so what the heck. Let me turn this on. I'm sure you probably can't see it from there, but I have this angle already set for my tool. But we did the whole outside of the bowl and a lot of that rough stuff with it. So before we start going on the inside, I thought, what the heck, we should get this sharpened. That's all it takes, just a couple of strokes with it. You're not taking off much metal. And you can see, got a nice new edge on it. So also an asymmetric edge. If you look, you'll see one side's higher than the other side. And the reason for that is because the way I use it, I make an asymmetric edge because when I'm doing a scraping cut, I want this edge to be a little bit higher, like that. So that's why I have it that way. Now I'm gonna, well, I'll worry about the edge later. Let me get this going first. Until you get that edge set, there's too much chance of skating over the top. So, okay, so now we're going to go a little higher here. Yes, it's centrifugal force is actually forcing my tool away. Let me get towards the middle. When you think about this for a minute, if I have this set at, let's say I have this set at 1,000, okay? The outside is spinning at 1,000 times a minute, and the inside is spinning 1,000 times a minute. But for this to go around, it doesn't have to travel very fast to get to 1,000. This has to travel really fast to get to 1,000. So what's happening is that the outside edge is really very very quick moving. The inside has a lot more centrifugal force forcing you away from the center. So sometimes I'll go in like that and then work my way back down. Now, it's the same concept with the people that use a Forstner bit and drill a hole in first. And something keeps grabbing me there. I'm not sure what it is. Something keeps grabbing there. Oh, I see. Okay, I've got a little bit of an inclusion of some sort, probably from this. It's not a crack necessarily, but as it comes around, it slides me off because it's a little bit different density of wood. Yeah, right there. Hey, Honey made it in. You should check out these channels too of these people that are in here. Um, John Sharkey, I got a question. Do you turn? Are you a turner? Do you have a channel? Do you have like do you have a YouTube channel or a website or something? Pardon me. So, Honey Maid, can you put your channel on here for the people to see also? Feel free to. There. How do you think that's doing? We got this rough top here. I think it's time for me to fix that rough top. So let me try to not make a mess and not make a problem. Get that cleaned up. Okay, clean that up a little bit. Probably just a little bit more. Well, I think I'll use my skew for that. Get a little bit cleaner cut, I think. You know me, if you know me and you've been watching me turn for a while, you know that I like to angle my cuts down into the bowl just a little bit. So there's a little bit of an angle to that edge. Whoa, didn't want that. Didn't want that. Okay, well, we're going to have to do a little change to the bowl. That was quite a piece. And it didn't even snag anything. It just blew. Hey, Chase, well, you got to see that. So that's going to change the look of this bowl a little bit. Let's see. I'm going to leave that for a moment. I'm going to leave that. Maybe we can do something with that. So I'm not going to just necessarily turn all that off. But it does tell me to watch out for when we get down to those cracks down here, lower in the bowl. So that's what that was. That was right across one of those cracks that we encountered on the outside of the bowl. It was just a weakness, and it didn't catch at all on the tool. It just went flying. Yeah, time to redesign, right? The nice thing about when you're creating, you can create whatever you want. And this wood was telling me I don't want to be a simple bowl like that. So great. It'll have a pouring area where you can pour out or something like that, right? So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to keep going. No cussing here today. I'm just going to go with it. Okay. Now we're getting to where some of those other cracks were. So I have to kind of keep stopping and looking here. See, there's another one of them. That's this one here. It's coming out right here. I don't want to snag anything that's going to make that fly off either. So I got to be really kind of careful with my turning as we do this. So we don't release it and have it go flying off. If it stays just like what it is right now, it's just going to be a pretty little character line in the wood. That's what I talked about earlier when I said I like things to be a little bit not sketchy, just be interesting, and this is interesting. Those of you that are still in here, please hit the like button. Please subscribe if you can. It doesn't cost you anything. We are trying to get to 4,000 subscribers. So if you could help us do that, that would be really great. You'd be one of the 4,000. And I think we'll do a giveaway when we get to 4,000. So if you're one of the 4,000, you'll be able to put your name in for a right. You can see how we can work that out. We're getting about 40% of the way in so far. the other day when I was doing the turning, I did it with a. I switched over to carbide just to show how that worked, but trying to do this one mostly with a gouge today. Let's see. Okay. Whoa. Gotta be careful there. I did slow this down just a bit because I didn't want to have problems with these cracks. There's one, we've gotten past this one. There's another one coming up right here, and it runs through about half the piece of wood. So we're going to have to see what that does. I think I'm still sharp. Okay. You know, it occurs to me something else I haven't done in a while, and I always try to do this every few minutes, is to check to make sure my miter's well attached on the bottom. So as soon as I'm done with this cut, I'm going to stop, go over here, make sure that everything looks good still. I'm not going to loosen it. I'm just going to go for tightening, and if it doesn't need any tightening, I'm not going to press it. You don't want to force anything. No, it's nice and hard, tight. That's in good shape. Okay, but you always want to do that. Hey, Depression, how you doing? Okay, let's get on with this. Now I'm going to have to go back in here. If you notice how the jug is curved, if you notice how the jug is curved, it comes in and goes back out. So even though I've been careful to this point, now I'm at the point where I have to come back out there. So I have to be really careful how I do that, especially if it's not really well supported wood. So this is where I'm going to be a little bit scary. Now, what some people will do is they'll bring up the tailstock and they'll support this with the tailstock while they're doing the outer part. I don't tend to do that because I think the tailstock kind of gets in my way. But if you're more comfortable doing it that way, that's fine. But if you do that, just remember you're going to have like this hill in the middle when you take the tailstock out. You're going to have to get in there and take a little bit of time. Now, I was feeling this, and so that's why I wanted to look. And yeah, that's that crack. This one here that's on top. That's that crack coming through here. And it's pretty solid. We're going to be able to get below it, but I don't want to accidentally snag. So I'm taking a light cut. And I don't want to blow out anything. There you see that? Oh, that's a loud sound. All right, let's see what that's starting to look like. Now we're getting down into the bottom half of the bowl. So we still got that piece there, which I got to get torn out, or cut out, I should say. Oh, that's not good. So that's starting to go hump, 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 hump. I'm going to come at it from a different approach. And for Chase, for all you others out there, I always say, listen to the wood. Listen to the wood. And what I mean by listening to the wood is you can hear when you're starting to hit something different or it's making a funny sound or whatever. That's when you want to back off and listen to it and check out and see what it is. In this particular case, it's this right here. And it is cracked. So I've got to make sure that it stays supported as it's turning. You won't catch any of it. Okay. And see, if I'd have been using a carbide, that might have grabbed that. Chances are it wouldn't have, but it might have because of the way the angle that's used on a carbide blade is different than you use on a gouge. Okay, let's see if that's gone at all. Well, we are mostly past that, mostly past it. You know, I'm going to take my scraper right now while I got a chance. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to scrape up these sides because they're looking kind of rough. Whoa. if I can. Now, obviously, you have to be careful up here, but that took out some of that. This is going to have to come out with sanding, I think. But I can go to about here. So whoa, keeps catching something there. See what it is. Huh, I'm not sure what it is, but I guess it's this crack right here. There's a crack that's running right along the bottom there, and that's what it's catching on. So we're gonna have to be really careful with that as we go on here. So you know what? I'll see what this could be dangerous. It often is. I'm gonna see if I can't get the carbide in there to get past that. I gotta be really careful not to get grabbed. No, that's not going in there good. Yeah, I don't think that's going to go in there right. So I'm going to have to come in this way. Getting too much stuff in there. I have to kind of stop so I can clean it out and go from there. Let's see. I still got the crack right there, but it's not underneath it anymore, so that's good. Just really giving me a problem getting into that section there. So let's see. Well, go with the heavier one here. Keep wanting to catch that. don't want is at the end of this bowl to have it come flying off here because I got too aggressive. But I want to maintain the look. Now we are about here. So we've got about another 3/8, something like that to go down. I may just use a scraper to do that. Doesn't want to cooperate too much and give me that extra space on the side. There. Again, if you want, would not mind double tapping the screen or hitting the like button or subscribing, I would appreciate that. It does help us a lot. And let's see, I'm right about here now. And I got the, so I gotta go, okay. I'm just kind of measuring out how far I can go down. You want to be as deep as you can be. I don't know if I can get that a little more in there. I think that help probably a great deal. There we go. That'll help with the bouncing around a little bit. Well, I need to move that just a little bit that way. Okay. All right. There we go. Trying to carve out that edge. It has little bowling in on the inside. Because right now it just comes right to here, and it's nice and thin here, but right here it kind of bowls in, and I want to kind of have it bowl out a little bit more if I can. For some reason this is just a little bit fine. There we go. Now we're right on the center. Right on the center line. Okay. Well, we've got some shape to this bowl. It is down to about down to right here. I can go a little bit deeper. Let's see. What do you think? Getting down there. I always like to test it just a little bit further sometimes, which can be a bad thing too. If you go too far, you end up with a peekaboo bowl. Don't want that. But we do want a bowl that has some nice character to it. And it looks like the person turned it is trying to take extra care with it. And so, sorry, I got my eyes, my head in the way there a little bit, guys. But okay, I think we are pretty much down there. I'm gonna have to sand this out because I can't get it with a scraper. We'll have to sand out this little thing. That's okay. We'll make this work. We'll make it look as Johnny said, I think, a while back. Good morning to the rest of you, or good afternoon, depending on where you are. Some people are waking up, some people are going to bed. Kind of a interesting time of the day around the world. Hi, Lawrence. Hi, Veen. Hi, Tall. Marlis. Great. So, oops. Okay. I know I lost you guys there for a second, but it looks like I got you back. Okay, sorry about that. But I was saying, hi, Lawrence, and hi, Satal, and Marilyn, and Jesse. What are you thinking? Is it coming along here now? We do need to get this pile out of the way. Um, I think I'm going to try and just sand it out from here because that is going to be too hard to try and do with a tool on that part. So I think we got this here. So sorry, I was losing a couple of you there for a minute, but I see we hope we get you all back in here so you can see the finish of this bowl. I gotta really work on this part here. Get this kind of sanded off. looks better. I'm just going to make this part of the bowl. You know, get some of these imperfections out of the way. Sanders. Smooth that out a little bit. Do the inside. That part I can get. Oh, battery died. Got to get another battery. Alrighty. Another battery on the way. Oh, that one doesn't work either. Guess we want to make sure the batteries are actually charged. There we go. Now we got battery power. Okay. See if we can get this cleaned up. Hi, Dennis. Hi, Lawrence. Earlier we had people calling from New Zealand and Hawaii. I'm kind of curious where people are watching from now. So please get in the comment section. Let us know where you're from, where you're watching from. It really helps the. You like having comments in here. It makes the conversation a little better. Not just listening to my voice. See what others are thinking. Little scratches. I'm just trying to get these little cuts out of there. It's about quarter to 12. It's almost 12 o'clock noon here where I'm at. What's the time where you're at? Anybody, just go ahead and mark that in the comments section. Hey, Plywood, how you doing? Tell you, if you like wood turning and woodworking, or watching guys working on different pieces, I work with a whole group of guys. They're kind of called the Sawdust Mafia. But a lot of them are in the description for this video. There's Timber Designs. There's Boondock Builds. There's Whacking Shack. There's 77 Rockets. Anyway, there's quite there's New Beginnings. They're all in there, and please support them. Go check out their channels. They all do lives. Robert G, I know, is going to start doing lives pretty soon, and Michael Wilson is going to be doing some lives soon. I hope Michael can get in here. 2:45 in Ohio, and you're doing well. Good to hear from you, Plywood. Uh, and is it snowing in Ohio yet? Had a guy from Indiana said it was going to snow later on today. So I guess the snow is headed your way some way or another. Between the weather and Joe Burrow not wanting to play for the Cincinnati Bengals anymore, you guys have a lot to discuss, I'm sure. No snow yet. Okay, good. Well, there's talking about having a lot of snowy weather for the football games this weekend in Chicago and Denver, and of course Buffalo is going to be having. Buffalo always has snow, so there's going to be a lot of outdoor games in the snow this weekend, I think. Trying to get this sanded out good. One of the first modifications I did to my particular Laguna lathe was I put a bigger handle on the side here, so I have a bigger thing for my hand to turn this, because the one that comes with it is just like this, and it feels like you're not. It's like it's about the size of a motorcycle um, accelerator. So I feel much more comfortable having my big hands having something bigger to turn. Okay, this is the final piece of sanding here. Just giving it one more in here to get it as nice and smooth as I can. Okay, so we kind of wrestled this bowl to the ground and got it where we wanted it, I think. Um, Not bad for a one-armed wood turner. My other arm being kind of useless and close to my side most of the day here. Try and hang it for a second. I'm gonna turn this dust collector off. Okay, let me vacuum out the inside of this, and we'll go to finishing this bowl. Looks like I have a little bit of a clean area where I'm putting the finish on. So, okay. Here we go. Okay. So, let's get some finish on the inside of this, and you guys can see what it's going to look like. This was a piece of ash with some definite cracks in it. We weren't sure how deep those cracks were going to be. And almost got away with it without hitting a single one, but we didn't actually hit it. It just the wood just kind of gave out on it, but that's okay. We persevered, right? No cuss words, no nothing. We just kind of anticipated it ahead of time, and it's what I talk about reading the wood. You know ahead of time what you can expect. You can prepare for it. You don't always prepare for it. You can try and prepare for it, and you can not be surprised when it does what it does because you can kind of see it coming, and that's why I always try and I puzzle over the wood before I start turning it. I really do. Some of these pieces sit here for weeks, and I'm looking at them going, where can I mount this? Which way am I going to turn it? Which way is the wood telling me to go? What's going to give me the easiest route sometimes, or not the easiest route, but at least the most potentials for success route, I guess is the way to put it. Which one's going to give me that? And yeah, kind of work my way through it sometimes. See where we're going to be. So I'm getting a second coat on the outside now, like I told you earlier. It'll get more coats. And this is the coat on the inside. It's already sucked that in. So we'll give it some more. I'm going to have to mix up some more juice here. I've been going through it pretty good lately. It does not take much. I've used this same Harbor Freight chip brush that costs about 10 cents. I've been using the same one for probably the last 30 bowls or more. Maybe more. Yeah, probably a lot more, actually, when I think about it. And you don't use a lot of this. A bottle of this will last you through dozens of bowls. I mean, you put it on not too thinly. You don't want to put it, you want it to soak in. And then you wipe off the excess after a few minutes. Right now, it's kind of soaking it in, so I'll just keep feeding it until it stops soaking it in. That's usually your point. So if you put it on and you walk away for about 20 minutes, come back, rub off any of the spots that are wet, give it another coat, and then another coat, and another coat. Usually 2 or 3 coats will usually do it. Most pieces of wood. Some are a little bit hungrier. But you do that, you will get a pretty nice hard finish. Then you can put wax on it, or you can, like do a weed a feed and wax, or a carnauba wax, or just about any kind of a finish you want, a beeswax finish. I'm just letting it kind of sit here and soak for a minute. So, what do you guys think? This is the bowl, and you can kind of, I'll take you over there, and you can look down on it a bit. This is what the bowl is going to look like. And that piece coming off, we just left it. I don't think it takes away from the bowl, actually. I think it kind of adds to it a little bit. These cracks that we filled are now unique pieces to the wood, and they come out on the inside also. I think it kind of adds to it. Pretty nice piece of wood. Okay, so I'm interested to see what you guys think. So anybody wants to get in the comments here, let me know. I'd appreciate it. This took us less than 2 hours, start to finish, so that's pretty good. But what do you think of it, guys? I'll kind of pull back out here a little. Okay, I really am interested. What you guys think? You've been watching this for a while. There's still 63 of you in here, and we've had a few likes. Not a ton of them, but we've had a few likes in there today. Not many participants, it seems like. Thank you, plywood. It's a different piece. I know it's not as fancy as an olive piece. Ash just doesn't necessarily end up being real pretty. This one has more character than a lot of ash that I turn. Actually, it actually has some stuff going on in it, so I kind of like that. I've got some bigger pieces of ash to do. I got some smaller pieces, but I thought this one would be good today since my arm was giving me so much trouble. I couldn't lift it up or anything, and yeah, not bad for a one-armed turner. I think that came out pretty good. Okay, I'm gonna wipe this down now. Wipe off the excess. First on the outside, then we'll wipe it off on the inside. And I think what I'm going to do is let this settle in and dry for a day or so. Then I'll come back and give it some wax finish to it or something. I don't think I want to spray it. Although a gloss finish can be nice. I don't know. It kind of looks good this way. It's not a gloss finish. It's just kind of a semi-gloss look to it. I kind of like the semi-gloss look. What do you guys think? Semi-gloss better? Or do you think high gloss? This is about what it would end up looking at right now, is what you're seeing. So you give me your opinion. Is this good enough? That semi-gloss type of finish? Or do you think I need to go with a lacquer or something on it? I don't see spraying this with lacquer as being anything that's going to really add to it myself. Hi, Pub. And if any of you want to subscribe to any of the other channels around, please do that. Some of my friends here, please subscribe to my channel. I'd appreciate that. I'd really appreciate any likes. If you can hit that like button, that would really be nice. This is the end of the turning that we did today. And I think we're going to stop at one. Sometimes we do two or three, but I need to get some ice on my arm now. I think my shoulder, and rehab it a little bit more, so I'll be ready to go again. I might be doing another live in the next day or two. We always do one on Thursdays, so we're always on Thursdays. So you can look forward to that. But I will probably do one or two others this week, if I get the chance, if my arm is feeling better. And maybe we'll get into that olive wood one that I was wanting to do today. If we can do that olive one, I love turning olive. It's beautiful wood, and it just jumps out at you as far as the looks. But let me take this off of here. There we go. And there's our bowl. It's a nice functional bowl. It's not a huge bowl. It's about 6 inches or so. I could do one twice as big, but uh, this was the piece of wood. So I hope you enjoyed watching today. I thank you all for being here, and I'll be talking to you again real soon. So take care. Hi, baby. What's wrong? Rao, you want to go in the house? Okay. You go in the house. I'll be right in a minute. Okay? Go on. Go get your food. Go on. I'll be right there.